We are going to talk about using components with vulnerabilities. And this is going to be a very simple example. We are going to rely on a PHP capability for server-side include other PHP scripts. So this is something I've talked about before, where in the PHP world and the Perl world, a lot of these kind of dynamic scripted languages that have a lot of popularity on the server side in the web application world. There's so much code that gets shared out on the internet. There's so many examples for things, a lot of scripts that answer the question, how do I do foo, how do I do bar? And people sometimes eagerly copy them in without realizing that they have vulnerabilities in them as well. And sometimes they can be hard to read through and understand what's going on. So we're going to keep things very simple, but what's at the heart of this is very important. So let's get started. So let's say we have a component like this, and we want to use it in our page. And so we just do component PHP. And there we go. Pretty simple so far, especially if I can get the typing right. So there we go. Without that being included, it would look like this. And with it included, it looks like this. But what would happen if you are bringing in this from the internet instead of from your local machine, and whoever is supplying this is doing this to you? They put in a line about redirection, a script snippet from JavaScript that changes the document location, changes the browser location from your website to example.com here, but it could be something really malicious. It could be example.com or some other website, and it could grab all the cookies on your website and that you've set as some kind of parameter like this, right? And then where would you be then? Because your users, and here you can look up how to do cookies in PHP. It's very easy. There's set cookie and there's get cookie. So you can just grab cookies that you know about. And cookies, of course, are often used for session management, and they're used for storing secrets. So a lot of times PHP especially can rely on cookies. So you don't want your cookies to get exposed, so to say. And I know it's a funny sounding name, but especially if you know the name of a cookie, it can be very, very dangerous to have it retrieved. So that's the kind of code that we're talking about. So suppose we say foo instead. And we'll just redirect to ourselves here just to be a little less arch, I guess. So you see it tries to redirect us, and that URL does not exist, which is good for us. Otherwise, it would be a real headache, especially if this was a real cookie. And you'll see if we go back to this, it just keeps redirecting us, because until we stop using this, it's going to keep doing it. And then we get rid of our component. Now everything is fine, nothing unusual. And that's the remediation. Don't use components that you don't know what they're doing, don't know what the source is, can't rely on them to function correctly. And keep up to date on what's available out there, and make sure that everything you're using is a secure release and there's no major vulnerabilities announced to it. We've talked about having to stay up to date on the community and the technology that you are utilizing, and make sure to patch and update regularly, and do security scans on your application as well.